WIBTAH if I blew up my ex-husband's relationship and end his new family? Okay, I've been reading Reddit for years, but this is the first time posting. This is going to be long. I don't even know if this is the right forum for my post, but I just want to vent it all out. And hear your opinions to see if I did the right thing or not, because now I kind of feel bad sometimes, thinking that I did the same thing to a child that happened to my child. But I don't feel bad about every other thing that I did. I am a 36-year-old single mom of a now 16-year-old daughter. For a little backstory, I have raised her all by myself practically since birth, with only help from my mom starting in the last 9 years. I am divorced from her father, who I will call Alex. We got divorced when my daughter was 7 years. We got married when I became pregnant with her when I was almost 20 and Alex 22 after dating for 2 years. He got me pregnant on purpose by boring holes in the condom after I told him I was breaking up with him, and he talked me into having breakup to end it. I said, practically raised my daughter on my own, because even though we were married for the entire 7 years of her life, my husband had little to no significant interaction with her. She was my responsibility. I did everything for her on my own. Feeding, doctors, diapers, school functions, discipline. It was like she had a father and I had a husband who was there every day, but just in the background, never actually having any input in the day-to-day raising or responsibilities of her. He wasn't even at the birth. I was by myself. My calls to him went to voicemail. I had no close family where we live, and sister showed up after a while. He didn't show up until the next day, saying his phone was dead, and when he got my messages when he got home, it was really late, and he called the hospital and they told him it was late, visiting hours was over. He would have to come in the morning. He used to say he's working so that we can have the best life possible, and he doesn't know what to do with a kid that age, so I was better equipped to take care of her. I filed for divorce because I found out he was cheating on me with multiple women for the entire duration of our 2-year dating relationship before marriage, and still throughout the entire 7 years of marriage. He had 4 children in the span of this 9 years we were together with 4 different women. One of said child being 2 months older than our daughter and one 4 months younger than our daughter. He had no relationship with these children also. I found out when the 4th woman showed up at our house with a newborn baby, wanting to see him. He is an engineer and got a job with a good company right out of college, and I was working as a part-time paralegal while going to school to be a lawyer. We divorced. I got alimony, full custody, and child support, also the house which I sold promptly. He got supervised visitation, packed up everything and moved to another state where my mom lived, where we bought a house together. Suffice to say, this experience changed me. It broke something in me. I was the kind, loving, caring woman who everybody would turn to, who had a big family dinner and invited everyone every Sunday. The person who everyone in his family can come to when they needed help. The worst part was all of his family knew about all these women and these other kids, and no one said anything, and they were at my house every week, calling me for money, advice, support, whatever, and not one of them had the decency to let me know what was going on. After that, I completely changed. I was in a depression for about 2 years. I felt lost, broken, numb. I quit law school and went full-time as paralegal, just burying myself in work. I just didn't trust people or want anyone around. I couldn't see the good in anybody. I still can't. I still don't trust people. I don't let anybody close to me. For the next 3 years after that, I would just work non-stop. I had no patience for anyone except my daughter. I didn't spend any significant time with her though. I dropped her off for early program and after school classes, didn't spend any significant time with her like I used to. I was just home sometimes, barely to put her to bed. My mom kind of picked up the slack during this time, and it all came to a head where I kinda burned out and had a literal breakdown when she was 10 years old. After that, I quit my job. I had enough money saved to live on for a long time, plus alimony, plus child support, so I didn't need to be working that hard. Anyhow, I became a stay-at-home mom, spending time with her, dropping her at school, picking her up. I joined the PTA, did baking donations. Class mom. I was the mom that kids used to love coming to their house cause there was always fresh baked cookies, food, etc. And even though I was still distrustful of people when it comes to my daughter, she was the one exception. I did everything for her, make sure she had everything, whatever she needed. I got her did. We were practically joined at the hip. I let her know that if she ever have a problem, she can always come to me and talk to me. Whatever is going on, I'm there for her. Now getting to the start of the problem. When she was around 15, I decided that she was old enough now to be left on her own, and I wanted to go back to work, and so I went back to being paralegal and was slowly getting back to myself, and then my ex Alex decided to come back in the picture. He moved to the state next to us, a 40 minutes to an hour drive. I haven't seen him in over 9 years. He used to call pretending he wanted to talk to my daughter but always end up asking about me about what I'm doing, so I stopped taking his calls 2 to 3 years after the divorce and blocked him. My daughter had a phone and he had the number if he wanted to talk to her. But he just stopped calling and reaching out after I blocked him from my number. When my daughter was about to turn 16 and she decided she wanted a big birthday party, and she invited her dad and asked me if he can come. I told her sure, why not. He came and he showed up at the party with his girlfriend, who was very pregnant. My daughter was visible upset, and I was livid, but held it together on the outside. The party went on, but I could tell that with my daughter something was wrong, and so after the party, I spoke to her and she was crying and saying that he told her he had moved close and she thought they could start building a relationship, and she hasn't seen her dad in so long and that's why she asked him to come to her birthday. She thought that he was going to be there just for her and he shows up with her, and not only that, they told her she had a 4-year-old little sister which they left with the girlfriend's mom. The girlfriend told her she should be so proud of her dad because he was a very hands-on dad. He said he wanted to do all the things with his girls that he missed out on with her. He's up for diaper changes. He even FaceTime on the phone talking to the girlfriend mom and the baby at the party so my daughter can meet her sister. Which I interrupted that real fast, because I saw my daughter was about to start crying. I comfort her as best as I could, and as soon as she went to bed, I called him and I blasted him. I told him how inconsiderate and inappropriate he was to show up at her party with his pregnant girlfriend, and had the audacity to introduce her to his other child at her party when he hasn't seen her in 9 years, and this is what he come with. And his girlfriend talking about you want to do better with your girls than you did with her, making it seem like she's not one of your girls. I told him he hurt my child and I was going to make sure he hurts as well. He called me bitter and jealous and saying that I was stopping him from reconnecting with his child and hang up the phone. I texted him and said if you don't see what you did was wrong and T was no way to reconnect with her after not seeing her for 9 years. I honestly don't know what's wrong with you. After about 2 weeks since the party and my daughter has visible withdrawn within herself, I decided to do something. His girlfriend is 7 months pregnant and at the party, he kept cornering me and telling me how good I look and he forgot how I was. And since I know by his behavior that he hasn't changed. I don't know this woman and I don't think I owed her any loyalty, and she agreed to come to a birthday party with her boyfriend for his 16-year-old daughter that he hasn't seen in 9 years. I think she's just as bad as he is, because where is your common sense not thinking that this should be a moment between the father and the child only without her being there? This is where I might be for what I did next. I decided to wreck their world because I know I can, and I didn't care about the fallout, and I wanted payback for all that he put me and my daughter through. So I came up with a plan to pretend I want him back, knowing he will drop his girlfriend or at least cheat on her because that's just who he is, and then reveal it to her and reject and cut all ties with him. So I called him and was all nice and told him I forgive him, and he looked good too. Made sure not to text it so there was no trail of me initiating a conversation. He said he couldn't talk so he texted me, most likely was in her hearing. I suddenly recalled how much time he did that while we were married. He said he's sorry for showing up like that, but his girlfriend insisted on coming because she's heard about me from his family members over the years and wanted to meet his ex-wife, who they won't stop comparing to her, and she always comes up short. According to him, I was the one that got away for him. I was the only woman that he saw himself spending the rest of his life with. That's why he trapped me with a pregnancy knowing I wouldn't abort, and that's why he only ever married me when he never even considered marrying any of the other women when he got them pregnant, and his girlfriend knows this, so she didn't trust him to come to a party where I was by himself. They apparently have been having lots of arguments because she wants to be married and he has told her that he will never marry again. I kept texting him, leading him on, not obvious in the text, so it looks like he's the one pursuing me, which the initial call he was the one actively pursuing me, so I didn't even need to worry about that. I kept all the text. I guess he deleted them on his end. While I was doing this, I stalked her socials and befriended her using a fake username. I befriended all of her friends and family. I even reached out to some of his family member who I saw were friends with her and got invited to a friends group chat with some of the family in it, but she wasn't a part of. There, I learned some interesting tidbits, like the first child. The 4-year-old might not be his because she was sleeping with someone else while she was sleeping with him. And that he was sleeping with 2 of her friends. I was pissed but pushed it down because I was thinking this is what they did when we were married and nobody said anything to me, yet they discussed it amongst themselves. I then started suggesting to him that I saw pictures of his other daughter and she looks nothing like him. That all of his kids look like him in some way or other. I made a joke that if he was sure she was his and he may want to do a DNA test, kind of planting the seed just in case it was true. This went on for around a month or so. I slowly gathered my evidence and built this up. Long story short, he got a DNA test, the kid turned out not to be his, and he confronted her when she was about 8.5 months pregnant and kicked her out, and she went into labor. He refused to go to the hospital with her or have anything to do with her or the baby until he got a DNA test. So he wasn't there for the birth of this child, also just like he wasn't there for mine. The DNA test came back hands a couple weeks and he was the dad of the second kid, but he still didn't want anything to do with her. She moved in with her mom. He was still talking to me, thinking that there is a chance for us, and in our text said that he would never marry her no matter what, and that he just asked her to be his girlfriend because she was pregnant, and since he was getting older he was thinking about getting a vasectomy. This last child was the last baby, so he wanted to do better by this child since he was too late with our daughter. He said that he's been calling our daughter, but she wasn't answering his calls. Hearing that, I sort of felt bad, but not bad enough to stop my revenge plan. I told him I will consider getting back together if he had a vasectomy because he had so many kids and I didn't want to take a chance of having more and worrying about what I went through before the divorce, and he agreed. He had the vasectomy, and apparently there was some complications. He had an infection and a sperm granulomas. Whatever that is, he was out of commission for at least a month healing. While all of this was going on, the ex-girlfriend reconnected with her ex-boyfriend, who supposedly is the baby father of the 4-year-old. She didn't date him openly though because she kept thinking my ex-husband would come back to her since the second baby turned out to be his. He was an engineer and make a good amount of money, so she'd rather be with him than her ex-boyfriend who wasn't working legally. I waited for about 3 months when I think she was stable after birth, and then I emailed her our text chat and the group chat screenshots of his family talking about her and saying that he was sleeping with 2 of her friends while with her. She lost it and confronted him. She's taking him to court for child support and custody. One of her friends that he was sleeping with apparently told him that she's back with her ex-boyfriend, who is the father of the 4-year-old. He lost it and now they are in a bitter fight because apparently this guy is not a guy you want your kid around. To wrap this all up, because I know it was long, I outed myself in friends and family group chat. I revealed who I was and let them I was with, disgusted with them and their behavior and what they did to me, and wanted nothing to do with any of them. I told them don't contact me or my daughter ever. Then to end it, I called my ex-husband and told him everything that I did and told him I would never ever get back with him if he was the last man on earth. I also anonymously sent a letter to his boss detailing what he has done and provided some photocopies of text screenshots since some of our conversation had to do with stuff and people at work and there is an ethics clause in his work contract. I don't know what will happen now since I just did all of that last week. But I feel better now. I can spend my time trying to comfort my daughter. I did tell her some of what I did. I didn't go into all the details. I told her her dad and his girlfriend are broken up and won't be getting back together. And about the 4-year-old not being her half-sister. My daughter is the reason why now I feel bad, sort of, because she pointed out that she's happy I got revenge on her dad and his girlfriend because he deserved everything that he got, but now her half-sister is going to grow up like she did without a father in her life, like she did, because he's not going to want anything to do with her. Or even worse, since she don't think the girlfriend will be as good enough a mother to make the sacrifices like I did for her. And the 4-year-old had her world upended by all of this. I feel bad about the newborn, however I'm not happy about the 4-year-old, but I'm not broken up about it either because my daughter didn't have her father's attention, so why should some kid that's not even his do while I had to do everything on my own for my child when her father couldn't be bothered and was right there. That 4-year-old that's not even his was the only child's birth he was at. That was the only child's diapers he changed and took care of and fed and played with. She wasn't even his, so it's hard to feel bad when I think about that. I will update if anything significant happens, but I don't think it will. I still don't feel better though. I still feel hollow inside. I still feel like I just stopped feeling or living 9 years ago when that woman showed up at my door, and I don't know if I'll ever truly feel anything again.